The final chime of Langley's bell still vibrated in the air when the control room's monitors flickered to life. Ghostly static distorted the images of the flooded park. Wallace lunged for the main console. "You don't understand what you're—" Langley kicked a chair into his path with a cruel laugh. "Oh, I understand perfectly." He backed toward the exit, tossing a second golden bell that rolled to Scooby's feet. "The gold was never the real prize. It's what lies beneath it." Fred tackled Langley, but the slick manager twisted free, vanishing into the corridor as massive pumps activated somewhere below. The room vibrated with their deep hum. Velma picked up the abandoned bell, her fingers tracing strange markings. "These aren't decorations. They're resonance patterns. This thing creates some kind of frequency field." On the monitors, the ghost clown glided toward the park's center, dark water swirling around it in impossible patterns. Daphne helped Wallace up. What did he mean about something beneath the vault? The old man wiped blood from his lip. "There are tunnels down there, and something that makes these bells work the way they do." A thunderous boom shook the facility. They barely made it up a maintenance ladder before a geyser of black water erupted behind them. The central plaza had transformed into a nightmare. The Ferris wheel spun wildly despite its rusted mechanisms. The ghost clown waited at the center, wires now visible running from his bell to a strange device on his belt. As the clown raised the bell for a third chime, Scooby launched himself through the air with a desperate bark. The mask flew off, revealing Langley's furious face. "You meddling mutt," he snarled as Scooby tore the control unit free with his teeth. Instantly, the phantom hands dissolved. The unnatural water movement stilled. Distant police sirens wailed through the sudden quiet. Velma examined the broken device. Ultrasonic projectors combined with Shaggy collapsed dramatically onto dry concrete. "No more science. I vote for snacks and safety." But Scooby stood frozen, nose twitching at the calm waters. The earth trembled with seismic fury as concrete shattered beneath their feet. From the gaping maw of the ruptured ground emerged an abomination of brass and rust, a towering automaton whose very existence defied reason. Its articulated fingers, each the length of a man's arm, curled around the broken pavement with hydraulic precision. Langley's sneer dissolved into primal terror. "Impossible." The dampening field was. The machine's head rotated with the smooth, oiled motion of a well-maintained mechanism despite its apparent age. Porcelain clown features, cracked with time yet eerily preserved, split into a grin that revealed rows of spinning gear teeth beneath the surface. Steam hissed through corroded vents as its vocal resonator activated. The Guardian's wake. The Keeper's return. Fred's hand closed around a length of broken rebar, his knuckles whitening. "Velma. Analysis. Joints are weakest at the articulation points," she called back, fingers flying across Wallace's recovered control device. "It's synchronized to the resonator frequency. We might be able to." The automaton moved with terrifying grace, its piston-driven limbs propelling it forward in sudden bursts of speed. Daphne somersaulted over a swinging arm, landing in a fighter's crouch. "Eyes. Go for the optical sensors." Her hurled flashlight found its mark, shattering one glowing red lens in a shower of glass and sparks. Wallace saw his opening. With the desperation of a man who'd spent years guarding this secret, he jammed the modified resonator into the creature's exposed spinal housing. "Now, Velma." The resulting feedback shriek was physical, a wave of sound that made the floodwaters ripple in concentric patterns. The automaton staggered, its movements becoming jerky, uncontrolled. Scooby's ears perked up. "Raggy. Ride controls." Shaggy needed no further explanation. Together they threw their weight against the Ferris wheel's emergency release. With a groan of protesting metal, the entire structure listed sideways, then collapsed onto the flailing machine in an avalanche of rusted steel. In the sudden silence, Langley made his move, only to find Daphne's foot hooking expertly behind his knees. He hit the ground with a satisfying thud. "Interesting construction," Velma murmured, examining a brass plate from the wreckage. "These etchings aren't decorative, they're coordinates. There are more of these. Guardians." Fred's jaw set. "Which means this goes deeper than one haunted park." As the first police cruisers skidded to a halt, the mystery gang regrouped by their trusty van. Scooby's stomach growled loud enough to echo across the ruins. I second that emotion," Shaggy agreed, rubbing his own abdomen. But as they drove toward the sunrise, none noticed the faint glow still pulsing beneath the waters, or the shadowy figures now moving through the tunnels below. The diner's fluorescent lights flickered as Wallace Greaves spread the blueprints across the sticky table. The worn parchment crackled under his fingers, revealing intricate schematics of underground tunnels, each marked with a crimson X. 6 sites, Wallace murmured, tapping the map. All built during the Civil War, all hiding these things. Velma adjusted her glasses, scanning the faded ink, and Langley was just the first to uncover them. Daphne leaned in, her brow furrowing. But who's behind this? Who would want an army of haunted machines? A shadow passed over Wallace's face. There's a name whispered in old military logs, the Keepers of the Chime, a secret society that believed these automatons were more than weapons. They thought they were guardians of something otherworldly. Scooby, mid-bite into a towering sandwich, froze. Ruo. Fred's fingers drummed against the table. Then we need to find the next site before they do. A sudden chill swept through the diner. The bell above the door jingled, though no one had entered. Shaggy's milkshake straw rattled in his glass. Okay, which one of you just summoned the creepy vibes? Outside, the black sedan's engine purred to life, its tinted windows hiding the driver. The symbol on its door, a bell encased in a gear, glinted under the streetlight before it vanished into the night. Back at the mystery machine, the gang pored over Wallace's notes under the dim glow of the van's interior light. Next location, Blackwater Asylum, Velma read aloud. Abandoned since the 1920s. Reports of mechanical laughter echoing from its walls. Shaggy groaned, sinking into his seat. Asylums? Haunted robots? Like, can't we just stick to regular ghosts in predictable haunted houses? Fred turned the key in the ignition. Where's the fun in that? As the van rumbled onto the highway, Scooby's ears perked up. A faint, rhythmic ticking echoed from beneath the floorboards. Raggy, he whimpered, pressing closer to his friend. "RHE Van, it's ticking." The gang exchanged glances. Clunk. The mystery machine lurched violently as something latched onto the undercarriage. Metal screeched against metal. Fred white-knuckled the wheel. "Hang on." A brass hand punched through the floor, its fingers twitching like a spider testing its prey. The morning sun painted the abandoned park in golden hues as the mystery machine rumbled down Riverbend's lone highway. Inside, Wallace Greaves sat hunched over the automaton's brass plate, his calloused fingers tracing strange engravings. "These markings date back to 1862, he murmured. "The Confederate Army commissioned a series of these guardians to protect strategic locations across Louisiana." Velma adjusted her glasses, leaning closer. But this technology was decades ahead of its time. How? The resonator stones. Wallace produced a small velvet pouch, emptying its contents into his palm, a cluster of iridescent crystals that seemed to pulse with inner light. Found in these very tunnels. They amplify sound in impossible ways. Daphne turned in the passenger seat. So Langley wasn't after gold at all. No. Wallace's eyes darkened. He worked for collectors who specialize in unconventional weapons. The flood was no accident. They triggered it to uncover the vault. A sudden bump shook the van. Scooby's head snapped toward the rear window. Ruro. The road behind them erupted as a second automaton burst through the asphalt, its brass limbs gleaming in the sunlight. This one stood nearly 12 feet tall, its clown mask pristine, factory new. Company. Fred slammed the accelerator as gears shrieked behind them. Velma scrambled for the resonator device. The stones. "If we can." A mechanical hand smashed through the back window, grabbing Wallace by his jacket. Shaggy and Scooby lunged, their combined weight barely slowing the automaton's relentless pull. Daphne acted on instinct. Her Swiss Army knife flashed as she severed the resonator strap from Wallace's belt, just as the machine yanked him through the shattered glass. "Wallace." The old man twisted in its grip, suddenly calm. He met Velma's horrified gaze and threw the velvet pouch. "Finish it." The automaton's other hand swung toward the speeding van, only to jerk violently as Fred swerved onto the old train tracks. Overhead power lines sparked against its metal frame, sending it crashing into a water tower. The resulting explosion shook the ground for miles. Silence. Then, from the wreckage, the resonator stones glowed to life in Velma's hands. "Fascinating," she breathed. "The crystalline structure actually, later, Velma." Shaggy pointed ahead. "Train. Train. Train." Fred's grin was downright maniacal as he gunned the engine, the mystery machine's wheels screeching against the rails. The approaching locomotive's horn drowned out Scooby's howls as they shot off the tracks at the last possible second, landing in a cornfield with a bone-jarring thud. Back at the ruins, police swarmed over Langley's operation. But beneath their feet, in tunnels untouched for centuries, something stirred. A third set of glowing eyes powered on. The local diner buzzed with the gang's retelling of events. Wallace, miraculously unharmed, slid a manila envelope across the booth. "Blueprints for 6 more sites," he said quietly. "They'll keep coming for these." Fred accepted the folder without hesitation. "Then we've got work to do." Outside, the mystery machine sat waiting, its engine still warm. Somewhere down the road, new adventures beckoned. But for now? Burgers first, Shaggy declared, already halfway through his third milkshake. Scooby's paw shot up. "Ramburgers roo." And as their laughter filled the cozy diner, none noticed the black sedan idling across the street, or the familiar symbol etched into its door.